Welcome back to another episode of Hot Air with me, Joshua Robert. And today I have two very special guests that I, even now, weeks later, after recording this episode and meeting with them, feeling so much gratitude for the fact that these two incredible badass women sat down with me and shared their story with some random guy who slid into their DMs on TikTok. And my two guests are Kim and Tammy, two of the plaintiffs in the marriage equality case that was part of the Obergefell v. Hodges Supreme Court case for marriage equality. And this changed the future of the country. While you're listening to this episode, I want you to think about any same-sex couple that you know that is married. Because of these two individuals, because of Kim and Tammy, we are allowed to be married across the nation. We can go state to state and our marriage is recognized. And that is a big fucking deal. In the Obergefell v. Hodges case, there was 14 same-sex couples and two men who were married, but sadly their partners passed away. So there was a lot more people than just Obergefell. And while he is a huge important figure, I did an episode on him, there are others that fought the fight. And because of them, we have marriage equality. And because this is such a huge moment for me, I say it in the episode, it's like my Beyonce moment. I felt like I was speaking to two people. Well, I was speaking to two people that quite literally changed history. They changed the history of our country. I can't say it enough. It would mean the world to me if you shared this episode, share their story, because they're more than just people that fought for equality. They're everyday people like you, like me, like your brothers, like your sisters, like your dad, like your mom, your aunts, your uncles. They're normal human beings that have a beautiful, inspiring love story that just decided that they were not going to back down. They saw something that was wrong with the system and they said, that is not going to work for us. Our love means more than that. We're going to stand up for everyone who came before us and for future generations. So let's get into the marriage equality Supreme Court case and the love story of Kim and Tammy. Let's hit it. Should we take a breath? Just a little pause.
Yes.
The stress. Life is crazy, man.
Right?
It's friggin' wild. Well, thank you for being here and welcome to Hot Air.
Thank you.
Have been, I was shooken up that you guys were so willing to jump on here with me. And every time I've told somebody that I was going to talk to you guys, or even when I think about it, when I was planning this, I get like full body chills. I get emotional because you guys were a part of something that was so important. And it feels like it was so long ago, but it was not that long ago.
Right.
10 years is not a long time. I remember when it happened. I was 26, so I was not paying as much attention at the time to what was going on in the world as much as I am now at 36. So to have you here, I keep thinking to myself, I'm like, is this my Beyonce moment? You guys are so important.
If only.
Right. She'll be next. No, but you guys are so important to so many people. And of course, I want to get into your experiences with Obergefell v. Hodges and all of your trials, tribulations, the things that you have worked hard for. But I also want to get to know you guys a little bit. So before we get into that juicy stuff, why don't you both just give me a little bit about yourselves as individuals, even before you guys met each other?
Well, I'm Tammy Boyd Franklin, and I was in not a gay marriage. I had not come out. In the country, we live in the country. We're from a small town, very small town, and that just wasn't heard of. You didn't do that kind of stuff. You could think it, you could dream about it, but you didn't act upon it.
Mhm.
So I had been married, trying to live the life I was supposed to be told and everything, so you do that. And then I realized I just can't keep doing that. Can't keep lying to myself. I came out. I knew I was gay around 12. I knew I was really gay then. And finally I came out, and we had went to school together. So I always thought of her anyway. So it was my time to shine a little bit and try to find her and meet up with her again.
So you kind of, you knew, you had your eye on her for a while.
Yeah.
That's cute.
And she worked for my mother too, so she
Oh,
wasn't far away.
right.
So
It's
it's like,
easy to
I'm gonna go
find.
see mom today, you know?
Oh, I love that. And
And
what
then
about
for
you?
me, Kim Franklin, I came out in the 90s. So I had been out for a lot longer. My family knew, my work knew. I'd had a crush on her since way back. And matter of fact, we jello wrestled
Yeah.
in I
And
know
I had
I
to
love
wrestle
that.
her.
in
Yeah.
1987.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what got us talking again. You know, small town, we'd run into each other once in a while. And I would hear all these songs in my head that would make me think of her. And you know, it just never be. It's just never gonna be. Even though I was gay and I was openly gay, I never knew her. So, you know, if we ran into each other being a small town, I'd be like, man, because I had a crush on her my whole life. So there was a story once that said a love story 2 decades in the making. And it really was because we had crushes on each other since
Mhm.
the 80s and we didn't get together until
2006.
2007. So
Wow.
so we really were 2 decades in the making. So, but what got us initially started talking is I went in where she worked at the time. I didn't work for her mother then. I went in where she worked and she said, "Hey, do you still have that newspaper article about us jello?"
She did.
And I said, "Well, as a matter of fact, I do."
And
And
it
that's
was
what got us
laminated.
talking. It just went from there. We never
Oh
looked
my
back
gosh.
after
Yeah.
that.
So it was, yeah, 2 decades in the making. That's so
Almost
cool. You guys
Right.
were meant to be.
Yep.
I love that.
Absolutely.
I'm a sucker for a good love story. I love when people find their way to each other that, like, you
Yeah,
know
and she
all
was
along that you're meant to be.
yes.
I love
When
She's
that.
definitely my piece of
Aw,
person that I needed.
I
So
love
And
that.
and we said fate just wasn't ready for us yet. Because
yeah.
had we gotten
Mhm.
together when we were younger, who knows?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah,
And
could have
we
been a
were a little
very
wild
different
back
story.
then.
Yeah. Well, who wasn't? I
Right.
love that. So when you guys first started, I guess, dating, what was that like? Like, what were your dates like? How did you guys ease into that?
Well, it was true about the lesbians in the U-Haul because it wasn't long. I knew what was happening. I was going to her house. And that's what we did. I moved in. I have kids. You know, I had to talk to kids. I was making sure she was cool with it, and we just slid right into place. The kids are like, whatever, mom. We knew it kind of anyway, you know.
Mhm.
And they're like, yeah, of course, you know, of course, we want you happy. We want you who you are. And that
Right.
was the whole thing. I finally found my person and I could do that all moments. So
Right.
It was like 3 months, not 3 days.
3 months is
Kind
still
of.
quick. At least it wasn't 3 days.
Yeah, but we never looked back.
If I hadn't known about her and known about her family, that I would have been a better person with that long time. But I'm thinking, you know, if she can work for my mom, surely I can make a relationship out of
Right.
this.
There was a history there. So it's not like you
Right.
just found
We knew
somebody
each
at the
other.
bus stop and you're
Yeah, I
like, "Let's
know.
move in." Yeah.
It does look like that from other
We did know each other.
Yeah. Do you mind if I ask, when you came out, what was your husband's response like? How was that
Well,
conversation?
my child, that was his father. So it was more like I didn't really ask your permission and didn't really care. But for Sam, I was like, you know, you will talk to your dad and see if he has the issue or not. But the kind of people we are, and everybody knew us, they know not to really say much to us. So we just kind of told him how it was going to be, and he, you know, hung around, came, got his son, and did the things that he does for a dad, and
Mhm.
and the girls on the corner were the girls on the corner.
Well, that's good.
So
That's
it
good.
did. It worked out.
Is there any moments, like, early on in your relationship, special memories, things that stand out to you? You know, those special watching the stars kind of moments?
We
Extra
had a
special.
lot of them. We had a lot of, you know, like I say, when you find your person, no matter gay, straight, trans, whatever, interracial, anything, when you connect and you feel safe and you feel like you finally found that person, all of the things that you love to do come forth. Like,
Yeah.
you know, at movie night is extra special. Going camping. We did a lot of camping. It was just so perfect because, you know, family came together, and we came together with our kids, and we have grandkids and great grandkids. We have 2 great grandkids. And
Oh.
it has never stopped from the day we started dating. All the moments were special. We always traveled. We'd take off somewhere at the spur of the moment, and and it was more safer then. Seemed like when the ruling came about, we were so in awe with it that we were able to do so many things together now.
Yeah.
And we like that. We like doing that kind of stuff.
When we first started talking about the time of the Jello wrestling story, I had just, I'd been going in there after that a little bit, and I'd made up my mind. I was just gonna go in there and I was just gonna tell her how I felt. And she was either gonna slap me, and then I would know how she felt, or whatever. So I'd made up my mind, and I stopped in where she worked one day, and she handed me a letter, and I said, "Okay, well, I guess I better read this letter first." So then I read the letter, and I was like, okay, good, because she kind of come out a little bit about how she felt. So I was like, okay. So then the next day I went in there and said, okay, let's talk about this. So we talked, and she said, she told me she wanted to come out, and somebody like me. And I was like, well, there ain't many like me. And she's like, no, like you. I was like, oh, like me.
You.
And she said,
Yeah.
yes. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And it just went from there.
Wow.
But yeah, as far as the special moments,
We have a lot of homey stuff.
Yeah.
We do a lot of home stuff, and we like being at home. We have a little micro farm, and we just like being together. We don't do anything outrageous.
we don't take
Yeah.
each other very serious. We laugh at each other. We laugh at ourselves, kind of keep each other balanced the best we
Yes.
can. We're two totally different personalities. I'm real logical.
She's the smart one.
That's the
I'm
way
the
it is. And
creative
she's
one.
more emotional. So she has to pull me to them, because I can be real cold hearted. So she has to pull me to be emotional, and I have to pull her to not be emotional.
So
Mhm.
it
But
just
we work it out, and it's perfect. We're like the perfect yin and yang to each
it's
other.
kind of like the normal family, that you see on the corner. We're
Yeah.
normal.
You certainly are. I've been in a relationship where I'm the artsy creative one and I was with the smart one. It didn't work though. So maybe the next opposite that attracts will
Get some
sort it
age
out.
on you. Yeah.
I'll wait a few more years. So kind of transitioning into marriage equality, before you were a part of such an important moment, what did a deep level of commitment look like to you before it was legal, nationwide to get married? Was there any type of special ceremony or anything that you guys did specifically to commemorate your
Well,
love for each
our
other?
first little commitment was she asked my son for my hand.
Mhm.
So she went to my son, and well, he was like 15, 16 then. And she's like, I want to marry your mom. And, there, of course, he was ecstatic. So they went and got sand, and they poured sand all in the front yard, set flowers out, and made a circle. And he brought me outside, and I had no idea what was happening, but he brought me outside, and there she was standing there with the ring in the sand, because I'm a beach girl,
Mhm.
and asked me to marry her then, and knowing that was even before that we even thought of. It was not even a thought then. So that was just our little commitment that we had together. Sam handed me her hand, and she put the ring on my finger. So we were solely married then.
Right.
And then we went to Connecticut. We had to marry out of state, and we did it on the beach the right way we wanted to, and did this whole thing again with just me and her on the beach.
That was in 2010.
Yeah.
And still not that long ago. I mean,
No.
15 years is significant, but it's really not that long ago. I always think, I'm
Right.
like, this had to be 1960 something. And it's like, it feels like it was almost yesterday. It's wild to me.
Right.
Before you were a part of Obergefell v. Hodges, was there a specific moment that made you begin the fight? There was something that said, we need to do something more about this. How did that process begin for you, where you started using your voices and standing
Yeah.
up?
So the attorney that we had, Shannon Falver and Dawn Elliott, we had we were using them for something else. Shannon Fulford.
We lived normal other than that.
Yeah, we just went about our normal day, working, garden, home, whatever. So during this time was when Windsor had not yet been decided, the Windsor case.
Mm-hmm.
So in talking to Shannon, our attorney, we'd said, well, what happens on this Windsor case? What if the Windsor is a favorable ruling? Then what? And our attorney, Shannon Fulford, was like, well, we don't know. Maybe marriage equality is next. So within just minutes, hour, whatever of the Windsor ruling, we were talking to Shannon and we were like, hey, what do we do now? And Shannon's like, well, we could file. Well, we lived in the eastern part of Kentucky. So it was going to be filed in the federal court, but on the eastern side of the state. She had some issues with a name change. So we filed our case was Franklin v. Bashir. And then it didn't get filed on the docket until after a case was filed in the western part of the state with a Louisville couple, initially one Louisville couple. So our case got merged with theirs because they said, if we go to two different federal courts within the state of Kentucky, one's favorable and one's not, it'll get really messy.
Mm-hmm.
And the western part, Louisville, was more favorable to us than the eastern part of the state. So that's when our case, Franklin v. Bashir, got merged with Burke v. Bashir. And that's how it got started from there. And then, of course, other couples came in. Kentucky was the only state that had both issues: recognition of marriage if you were married in another state or country, and issuance of license. The other 4 states that went to the Sixth Circuit and then ended up going to the Supreme Court, they were either adoption or this or that or different things. So that's kind of how it got. We built off the Windsor decision, I guess.
That's long and complicated. I don't think a lot of people understand that a lot of cases can be merged like that, because when I started doing my research a while ago, I was like, oh, there were 16 couples, 2 additional, that had lost their spouses, I believe, in Obergefell v. Hodges. And I'm like, why obviously we're not taught a lot about queer history, but like, why don't we know all of these facts?
Right.
There's so many other people involved. So I always find that very interesting. So, you kind of already answered my next question. Was you were living your everyday lives. You were just going about your business, doing your thing, and then almost
we never had dreamed of it because, they say there's no way. Probably in our lifetime we would not see that.
Yeah.
We knew that until, I get blasted out like that. But other than that, we did live just like you. The next person down the road, that's how we lived. And in the country, in the small towns, that's not very easy either. But we were the girls on the corner, and we were neighborly people. We were raised neighborly, and so we no matter what, I always treat my neighbors like I would want to be treated. Just period. That's how it is, and they were okay with that. It was good then, no troubles, and that's how we lived.
So you had like a small community that respected you, and everyone, like, was it comfy? You guys felt safe? You felt good where you were, even though it was small town?
Yeah, for the beginning, especially, when it ruled, they just kind of like, okay, well, it's ruled now. Just accept it or not. But if they walked away. They didn't pull or cause any trouble.
Right.
You didn't see them or they didn't bother you. That was okay.
And before you guys started being a part of these cases, was there any hesitancy? Were you scared about being so vulnerable, being out there, because it happened what sounds like relatively quickly? Were you like, maybe we shouldn't do this?
Yeah, a couple of times we did.
We talked about it, and Sam was still in school and he was in Boy Scouts.
Yeah.
And there was already a case in the Louisville area. Matter of fact, one of the other plaintiffs had already gotten kicked out of the Boy Scouts as a Boy Scout leader because he came out as gay. So within 30, 40 miles of where we lived, there was already this issue with Boy Scouts and gay troop leaders. And Sam was in Boy Scouts, and we knew that once it came out that he probably would not be allowed. So we had to have that conversation mainly with him. He was still in school. He was still at home. And, hey, this is what could happen. He was fine with it. Go ahead. We
wanted to fight because, again, rights. It's rights.
Yeah.
We wanted to be like hey, we're not going to just sit back and let it all run past us. We're not going to do that. That's not who we are either.
And we didn't really set out to be on the forefront so much, really. I mean, we were willing to take on the fight, of course, but we wanted three things really out of it. We wanted to be able to take care of each other medically in case something were to happen, to make decisions, even though both our families were supportive. When it comes down to it medically, and if it's tough decisions to be made, sometimes families want to make those decisions rather than us being allowed to make it for each other. So that was one issue. The other issue was to support those who had came before us and had fought the fight, all through the years, Windsor and all earlier.
Stonewall, everything.
To be able to honor them, and then to be able to support those who came after us, so they didn't, the younger generation, so they didn't have to go through what we went through.
Yeah.
And it came up a few years ago. We were at a Pride event, and someone introduced us to a younger lesbian couple as the marriage equality plaintiffs, which is typically how we refer to ourselves, because to us it was always about more than one person or one man or one couple. So the name of the case, we don't say it as much as we say marriage equality plaintiffs. So we were introduced as the marriage equality plaintiffs, and this younger couple didn't really know what that meant. And the people that introduced us was an older couple, and they said, "Doesn't that bother you?" And that they don't know who you are. And we said, "No, that's the point. The point is that for them as a younger couple, it's just love. They just love who they love, and they can marry who they want to marry. It's not a big deal." The case was a huge deal, but we as plaintiffs never thought of ourselves that way. So when people didn't know who we were as the marriage equality plaintiffs,
it was okay.
We were okay with that. That kind of was the point.
Yeah. Yeah. You're doing it for everyone else so that they don't have to. Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Well, you just gave me chills, and I'm going to try not to cry.
I know, we cry all the time.
Throughout this whole
I
thing.
do.
Otherwise, I'll have to go grab a tissue, and I don't want to get up. I love that. That's so inspiring that you're not looking for the recognition or the spotlight or anything like that. You are doing it out of the goodness of your heart, which I imagine anything like this, most people do because they want to be there for the people that are coming after them. It's so important. So when you did join the case, when your case was merged with Obergefell v. Hodges, how did that happen? Who told you about that? And then what was that process like behind the scenes?
So it was Franklin v. Bashir. Then it got merged, and it was Burke v. Bashir. So that was the Kentucky case. And there were four couples that had married previously, so they were looking for recognition. Then two other couples joined the case in Kentucky for issuance of license. So that's how Kentucky became the only state that had both issuance and recognition. And our attorneys recently said that they didn't know enough about how to do it, so they just kind of shotgunned all the possibilities of the case. So then we went to Judge Hayburn ruled in our favor for Kentucky. So there were now 6 couples. There was a case called Love v. Bashir, and it got merged with Burke. And so we had 6 couples in Kentucky. Judge Hayburn ruled in our favor, and it was like February 12th of maybe 2014, I think. So then for a few minutes, we were happy. Then the governor of Kentucky, Steve Bashir, came out and said, "Nope, first Conway, the attorney general of Kentucky, came out and said, "I will not appeal the ruling." And then the governor came out and said, "Well, I'm going to seek outside counsel, and we're going to appeal." Okay, so then that pushed us to the 6th Circuit. The 6th Circuit had Michigan, Ohio, Kentucky, and Tennessee. Ohio was Obergefell. That was the Ohio case.
Okay. His was taxes
and death. Yeah. So we went to the 6th Circuit, and we lost. So by this time, there were other circuits that had favorable rulings for marriage equality. So emotionally hurt. We rode this roller coaster, and when we won in Kentucky, she was excited. And then they said, "Nope, we're going to appeal," and then she was crushed. Then we went to the 6th Circuit and excited again, and then we lost, and she's upset again. And I was like, "Baby, hold on. This is not a bad thing, because now there's a split in the circuits. across the United States. And that typically, with a case like this, is when the Supreme Court will step in and take the case. So the way the cases are named are timing. So the
Right.
way it got to be Obergefell was the 4 states, Michigan, Ohio, Kentucky, and Tennessee. All those cases then rolled up under Obergefell. So that's why that was the named case. And again,
Right.
not taking anything away from anybody, but for us, it was marriage equality. It wasn't about
Yes.
one man or one couple.
Yes.
Even
Yeah.
from the Kentucky case, to us, it was not about the name of the case. It was about what it was for.
I wish
which
it
was
could have
marriage
said
equality.
Love V. Bashir.
Yeah, Love V. Bashir would have been the perfect case for it all to be named after.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
and the decision came on the same day as Loving v. Virginia.
Yeah.
So we would have had
Wow.
Loving v. Virginia for interracial and Love v. Bashir for marriage equality. Would have been perfect, but it didn't work out that way.
Yeah, unfortunately, because that would have been a
That would have
great, a
been
great
key.
name. That would have been so good. It's so complicated the way that process all happens. I'm from Canada, and we're not taught. I live in California now, but we're not taught, obviously American politics and history in school. So as you're telling me this, besides a little bit of research I've done, like this is all so interesting and also very confusing. So I'm trying to
Yes.
focus and keep up with you. But I imagine
That's
it's
why I'm
very
the creative one.
yeah,
Yes.
very confusing. Yes, that's what she's here for, to make sure I know what's going on. So after this whole case went through, we're going to call it marriage equality case move
Yes.
for the rest of the episode, since I like that. When the decision was announced that marriage equality for all across the nation was going to be a thing, where were you? What were you feeling? What was that experience like for you after all of your hard work, after all of those, I imagine a long life of wondering for you what your future was going to look like? What was that day like?
It was such a rush at first because, they had to get us here. They had to walk there. You had to go there. You had to have, people with you, and you had to be pushed over here, and you had to go to this part.
It's the day of the ruling, not the case.
Right.
Not the hearing.
Okay. Well, even that,
Yeah, but you can
everything
tell me a bit about the hearing and all that.
Yeah,
all that
like
business,
everything
how
just
you were
seemed so
experiencing
rushed.
it.
So we were trying to love it, enjoy it more. I was, because I seemed like I was getting through it too fast, and I wanted those memories and everything to be hunked down, and remember everything, because it was a lot. It was a lot of moving parts, putting us here, putting us there. The Supreme Court itself was the most amazing thing we had ever seen in our life. Just being in there. It is huge. It's massive. It's so honorable. It's just, a great experience to have. That to me was amazing. I loved got to do that and see other people, and the people that waited for us on the steps when we come out them doors, and seeing all the love and the support. I could not quit crying. I couldn't stop talk. I couldn't do nothing. All I wanted to do was just stand there and take it in.
Yeah.
Because they were so supportive and so loving. Just even that part.
Yeah. And then the day of the ruling.
Yeah, you can say that.
So
Yeah.
the day of the ruling, I was at work. It was the last day that the rulings could come out. So we kind of knew it was going to come out that day, whether it was good or bad. So, and again, we lived about 40 minutes away from all the other couples in Louisville. So we had it planned that I'd go to work, which was about a halfway point from our house to Louisville. So we had it all worked out. I said, okay, so you're going to go to town and you're just going to hang out. You can go shopping, you can go to Walmart, Kroger, whatever, do grocery shopping. And as soon as I hear something about the ruling, I'll text you or call you. You come to me where I work and we'll head straight to Louisville. And we had all this worked out with the other plaintiffs.
Yeah.
So win or lose, we had it all worked out because they wanted to do a news conference. So I was on SCOTUS blog, the website, and I just kept hitting refresh, working, hitting refresh, whatever. So finally it came out, and quickly I saw that it was favorable. Everybody at work had already known, what was going on. So I'm running down the halls at work saying, we won. And I'm texting her and calling her saying, come on, let's go. We got to go. So it, tears, and everybody's like, yay. And it was just like, emotional, very emotional. So, we're driving to Louisville. I'm driving. Both our phones are blowing up. People texting us, all of it favorable. So then we get to where with other plaintiffs were, like I said, we had already had it all worked out, and we're texting them, hey, we're on our way, we're 30 minutes away, we're 20 minutes away, we're 10 minutes away. And of course they waited. They had the media wait for us. And then we all met up and started from there. Well, during the press conference, it came to our attention that the governor of Kentucky had said they would begin issuing marriage license immediately.
Yes.
Wow.
So the Tim and Larry Love were there with us because they were two of the plaintiffs. So we walked, all of us, including the media, walked about, I don't know, it was like 4 blocks or
Yeah.
something. It was hot. Walked like 4 blocks to the county courthouse in Jefferson County for them to get their marriage license. So they were the first couple in Kentucky to get a marriage license.
Yeah.
Wow.
And of course, the
so neat.
media came with them, and it was like this parade of
Yes.
marriage equality people
It was
Wow.
just everybody was just so happy and so excited.
blowing their horns. Beep, 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 beep.
So much support,
Yeah.
especially
That's
so much support.
so nice.
then.
That must have been so overwhelming, and I can't believe you were working.
Yeah,
I would have been like, I'm not coming into work today. Absolutely.
I know.
Wild.
Yeah.
But
That's her.
I guess you got to pay the bills, right?
Yeah, still normal
Wow.
people over here.
Wow. Is there anything else about that day that stood out to you? Anything else you want to share before
Just
I
the
move on?
acceptance. I thought, as I look at things today, it kind of disturbs me because it was such an awe moment. Like we could just lay our hearts out on the table and be like, oh, we made it,
Mhm.
and it would only evolve and it would just keep going forward and be so much support and everything would be just fine. And then you get the roller coasters, of,
Yeah.
Trump before, Trump now, the whole administration fighting and everything going bad and good. And that's what gets me the most. It's so that we have to deal with this again
Right.
because we thought that what we did was enough.
Yeah. Thought that was going to be it. I think everyone thought that was hopefully going to be it. And I do
Yeah.
want to talk about that. But before we get into the now,
Yeah.
before it gets into the not so fun stuff,
Yeah.
after that was all said and done, all of your hard work, did you guys celebrate? Did you take a second to breathe? Did you go on vacation? Did you go to the
We did. We
beach?
celebrated with our lawyers. We celebrated with our family, our kids. We are not extrovert people. We're just kind of like
Low maintenance.
low maintenance.
Mhm.
And we just wanted to be with our kids. We just wanted to be home. We didn't go nowhere. We just came back to be the normal people we fought for, to
Right.
sit, to do our gardens, to cook, to be with family, to celebrate, knowing that they have always worried about us, a bit safety and different things like that, that they even got a chance to be like, oh, well, now we don't have to worry about them so much and
Right.
we can share with them and do stuff like that. So that was mainly, we wanted it to just be normal.
You guys are very wholesome, I feel like.
Yeah.
Is a nice way to describe you. From my
We can be gangster too, but we're
I
mainly
I believe you. I believe you. But you seem like so sweet and so wholesome, and just I love that you wanted to just be around your family. I feel like now if that happened to me, I would have been like, I'm booking a trip to Mexico, or I would have like, everyone, let's go. But I think
Right.
it's so much more meaningful that you were like, I just want to spend time with my loved ones and take in the moment and acknowledge all of
It
your hard
is.
work.
That's
I
what
think
it is.
that's very admirable. Now, it has been 10 years. Again, not a very long time. I am curious how you are feeling, which we know it's not a good feeling, but how you are currently feeling about the political landscape, LGBTQ plus rights. I'm overwhelmed as hell, losing sleep. It's
Mhm.
so emotional for everyone that I know. What are your thoughts? How are you feeling?
Well, like you said, you don't know where you're going to turn from the next morning to the next, and you don't know which is going to be pulled further to the other one, and you want to go over there, and it's like the black sheep was hurt over there, so you're going to run over there. LGBTQIA, trans kids, interracial, Black Lives Matter, women's health. It's all like at the same time. Everything
Under attack.
is under
Mhm.
attack. It's not about just the black people for this week or the trans for next week. Of course, it's always all the time, but
Right.
you don't know where to turn from it. Like you said, every morning we wake up, we don't know how bad it's going to be, if it's going to be good, if we're going to catch a break. And right now, I don't see that gonna getting any better for the next year or so. Anyway, I don't see it changing.
That's unfortunate. My friend Mario, he's an attorney. I did an episode with him, and I had asked him again because I'm Canadian and I don't know a lot about law, but also politics here. I asked him about the possibility of marriage equality being overturned because that's, the first thing that comes to my mind. That's terrifying to me. Do you have a fear or any thoughts regarding marriage equality being overturned?
Say what, Shannon?
So we do, hers more so than me, I guess, but we do. But the way our attorney explained it to us was, since our case and our decision was based on the 14th Amendment, that they can't unmarry us.
Because we now have made it
We're
a
married.
normal marriage. See?
And yeah, we were married and it's recognized. And marriage, at least within the United States, marriage is a contract with your state, really. Different states have a little bit different laws that has to do with marriage, and whether you have to get a marriage license and wait 10 days or 2 days or 10 minutes, whatever. But it's a contract within your state. So based on the 14th Amendment, which is what our case was based on, they can't unmarry us.
Can't undo Obergefell.
Now they could come back and try to say nobody else can get married.
Right.
But that they don't think, our attorneys do not think that's likely. Doesn't mean it's impossible, but that it's probably not likely because it's a whole lot harder fight. And even though it doesn't seem like favorite, how many people favorite versus not matters in the polls because of this most recent bill, and it was highly unpopular, but it still passed. Doesn't seem like the polls matter as much to the politicians, but our attorneys just say
it would take a long time.
It's not as likely as you would think. Now, doesn't mean it can't happen. Yeah. And what we say is we fought this fight before and we won when nobody thought we could win. The national ACLU said Kentucky wasn't the right place. It wasn't the right time. They tried to discourage our cases altogether. And we were just hard-headed or dumb enough. And our attorneys were the same way, hard-headed enough to say, well, we're going to try it. And we succeeded. And then everybody that was naysayers were like, oh, look, hey, we're hoping that they can't do anything about it. Even today, there were a church in like Indianapolis that come out and said all gay people should be killed. And come on, dude, really?
Oh God.
Have we got back to that far? And that's what we scare. We have grandkids, and I'm in the car. My license plate say Equality 1. I did that when the ruling came about because, I was very proud. But then there it is. It kind of scares me. My grandkids in the car with me. I'm going down the road. Is somebody going to piss me off or piss somebody off and they run me off?
Right.
It's a lot to think about because you want to be normal again. Hug, love, kiss, share. But can we do that right now?
Yeah, your license plate was like a symbol for hope and positivity and something that you accomplish. And now it's like, is it a target? Kind of like I was walking, with my band today and I'm like, I'm wearing this because I'm proud. But then I'm also like, if somebody really doesn't like me being gay and thinks I should be killed, they can also probably know by like taking a peek at me. But it's putting a target on you. But I think that's, it takes even more courage for us to still walk around, still drive around with your license plate, but rightfully so, it would also, make me a little bit
I got to
scared.
do both. I got to put it on the fence there,
Yeah.
Still be alert and still try to be modest enough to keep my kids safe.
Yeah.
And not be scared every waking moment.
That's one thing we don't like. That's why we fought, because we don't want people to be scared. Any LGBTQIA, any of us, be scared. That's the worst fear that I have, is people suffering in their own internal fear.
We don't want to live in fear. We just have to be alert.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's important to be aware of your surroundings. My parents are kind of in their own world in Canada. And when I tell them, I walk to the grocery store sometimes at night, it's an 8-minute walk, but I still have to think about my safety and think about who's around, because I do live in what I call the gayborhood. And sometimes there are hate crimes, but being aware of what's happening around you, the people that may be walking a few steps behind you or driving, you just have to be not in fear, like you said, all the time, but yeah, being aware. I'm going to take that
Yeah.
with me because sometimes I'm like too scared about just like anything. I have a wild imagination, being the
Yeah.
creative mind that I am.
Yeah.
So definitely being aware is a good place to stay. And you guys have been doing a lot of interviews and still out there using your voices. If needed, I imagine you guys would pick up the mantle and continue your fight, whatever that may
Absolutely.
look like. It sounds like you're motivated and you are in it to win it.
Oh yeah, we're up in our age. It's not like we're young anymore. So we have to fight the fight because we're not going to live out the rest of our life in a bad situation. We're just
Right.
not.
So
So I mean, if
you're
that's how we
prepared.
go out, that's how we'll go out because
Yeah.
I'm not
Go
going
out
to back
fighting.
down.
Yeah. All right. Let's end with like a little more positive note, maybe a little bit of advice. What has your journey together taught you guys about love?
It's all you.
I have to say, it has brought me so much closer to knowing myself, to knowing who I am and why I love the way I do. You think you're gay, you know if you're gay or you come out as gay, but you are so internally not sure about your life and who you are. So then you hold back or you don't go for it or you don't talk to others the way you want to. And I'm telling you, I have learned more about people are human just like you are. If you reach out and if you make sure you give yourself that you're a safe space, and if you need to talk, I'm older. I've been through a lot of more crap than some people, and I tell you, I'll be there for anybody. You come to my door, you need to call me. I've learned that being there for the others, as I would wanted so many people to be
Mm-hmm.
there for me. I think that's the biggest thing. We have been so close. We are so close. She is my everything. She's everything to me, and we live off each other in so many good things. Like we don't fight like normal people. We talk. We have communication. Our kids have communication. We make sure we all are together on the same thing. If one's sick or hurt and needs something, that's the first thing we do. That's what families are about to me. But helping your next human being, it's helping the next person. You don't know what they're going through. You don't know
Yeah.
how they're suffering, and there's so much people internalize and don't feel like they can talk to anybody. And I will be that first person. I just will.
Is
And for
there
me,
oh
oh,
yes. Sorry.
I'm
I
sorry.
wasn't sure if you were gonna get emotional with me,
No,
but go for it.
mine's quick and easy. For me, she's just my greatest gift. And I told her early on, I'll never promise you a rose garden, but I promise you it'll be an adventure. And I've kept up my end
Yeah,
of that
it's
deal.
been an
I mean,
adventure
it
with her.
sounds like an adventure. Yeah, you guys have been on quite a fun ride, I imagine.
Yes.
I'm always curious because I do a little bit of personal training on the side. My clients are 80, 90, and I always ask them a little bit of advice, or I always wonder about their life experiences, but also what they might tell their younger self. So is there anything that your 20-year-old self, 25-year-old self, that you would be like, hey, like here's something you need to know?
I wish I had been more true to myself. I wish I had been more expressive. I wish I had not let my past into my future. I wish I had learned therapy enough to know where things need to be and where you need to put it and how you need to center yourself for others to see that the kind of person you are and want to be. I think I wish I'd known then because I was so shy and so scared of everything. I was the only
Mhm.
child. So, I mean. So I think having having that light in yourself and shine and be who you want to be, no matter what. I mean, there's nobody in this world any better than you. No, no, they never will be. So
Right.
be who you are.
Yeah, just be true to yourself and screw anybody who
Yes.
doesn't like it, basically.
Yeah, they'll go
Yeah.
away. They'll fall off. The other ones
Yeah.
that care will stay.
Yeah.
I think for me, and again, I knew early on I was gay from the time I was like 3 years old.
Yeah, same.
Um, and I came out fairly early, but there's a Whitney Houston song that I used that always gave me strength and still to this day does. And there's a line, I don't know the name of the song, but there's a line in it that said, I decided long ago never to walk in anyone's shadow. No matter what they take from me, they can't take away my dignity, because the greatest love of all is living inside of me. So I just had to, and I was painfully shy and bashful. And even though I had a crush on her for years, and way back in the 80s, I would go into where she worked. Like I said, it really was a love story 2 decades in the making. I drove the little Smokey and the Bandit car, and I'd try to get her to go ride with me, try to get her attention.
We were so country.
But, we just never would. But to me, it was about, if I had to say anything to my younger self, it would be just believe in yourself, and it's going to be okay. It'll be okay. Just live your truth.
I love that. Stand in your truth, be who you are, and just
Absolutely.
do it authentically. That's, I think, what we're all striving for. It's a process, isn't it? There's a lot to learn in this
journey.
life. Yeah.
And it's not knowing the knowledge until you're older that you wish you'd known and had it for the years that you were younger.
Right. I know. I always
if only
think
that
back
worked out
about
that
that.
way,
Yeah. And it doesn't.
So.
So I was talking to somebody the other day about this. I was like, if I would have known now what I know even 5 years ago, and I'm like, okay, but I
And
don't.
it's made
but
that way.
yeah, use that information now. Use it moving
Yeah.
forward. Don't make the same mistakes. Learn from your past, and just do the best that you can. Really. Just try to wake up and figure shit out every day.
Oh yeah, and I'm that person constantly worried about what somebody else is thinking. But now I'm like, you know what? Just love your
like
family.
that too. Yeah. Now, I think my final deep important question for people like me who are worried about the state of the country, the state of the world, seeing a lot of hatred coming out of the woodwork. It's challenging, very challenging, some days more than others. Do you have any advice for people who are feeling deflated, defeated? Almost some days, a lot of people are giving up. Any words of wisdom for this generation, my generation, to keep pushing forward?
Especially the younger ones. Y'all have so much technology, so much smarter than the average bear with technology and stuff. I think finding space to communicate your age groups, trying to find ways to get together more often than none, to talk of each person's feelings or scaredness, or because a lot of younger people don't have families or didn't grow up country and don't have that. So if you don't make that with your other peers, or have a counseling, to even if it's your kind of counseling, just a friend counsel,
right?
But make parties, make people togetherness, communicate, get together more often than not, because it helps you, because you get in your own head, and you don't have that release. If you make a change on what you're doing from one week to the next, it changes up that hurtfulness, or that getting down on yourself. If you go to somebody else, they have a different light. They may see something. Oh, don't be down today because this happened. Do this. Somebody else can encourage you to get you out of that funk.
Yeah.
And that helps me. I get in a funk because I can get down quick, especially when everything goes down. And if I don't have somebody to break that chain on my own brain, it will get you even lower. And I guess talking to people is the biggest thing for me, because everybody has a thought, everybody has a different view. Reach out to those people that are there for you, and you're safe with.
And I think for me, it's especially as a younger generation, is, you can get together and you can have protests and things like that, but don't let it be a moment. Make it be a movement, and get out and vote. Don't just walk up down the street and of course not violence, but turn those protests and that energy into voting. Go vote, because that's what makes a difference. That's the only way we're going to get this fixed. Is if the younger people who are get energized, stay energized,
get political,
and go vote.
It's your life. If you don't get political, you can't change nothing.
Right.
And I think in some cases they go to the protests and they march, and it's a lot of energy, and it's kumbaya and all that. but then they won't take the hour or two to go vote because it's not as pretty or sexy. Well, go vote, and you won't have to protest as much. That's the message from me.
Yes,
I
I
think
agree.
it'll change in a couple of years once this
Hopefully.
guy gets out. And again, that'll start changing a different movement, and you'll get older in a couple more years, and you'll have a better life on what you see it might can go again.
I think a lot of people, like you said, they get involved because it's Instagrammable, it's sexy. They go to these
Fancy.
things to make
Right.
funny signs and post pictures, but then the actual hard work comes after
need
that.
it.
It's after the protest. It's
Yes.
continuing that fight. It's not just a one-day commitment to go hang out with your friends. That's
Yeah.
important,
And stay
but
true
it's
to
so
your
much
next
more than
Trump. Your next. I mean, we have a Trump
Yeah.
neighbor, and but you can't push us around. We'll be still down your throat with what we believe too. So we can be neighbors, but you got to still protest with your own political views. You have to.
Right.
You can't let someone else pull you down with theirs.
Now, does this Trump neighbor live directly next door to you?
Yes.
Oh, no.
And I shine every flag and neon sign I can possibly get out here in this field.
But they know her stance, and we know their stance, and we're still neighbors.
Yeah.
We don't
Mhm.
agree with any of their political beliefs. None of their political beliefs do we agree with, and vice versa. But they know if they need something, we're still
We're
neighbors.
still going to be human.
We don't like what you believe, but that doesn't change that we won't help you if we need to. And the same thing, if we need anything, we call, they'd be right here.
But like today, when that went down, I was already going, they better not even come this way today. I'm not even in the mood.
No, stay on your
Right.
side of the fence.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Today
Oh,
would not
no.
be the day to tap me on my shoulder.
Get me hard.
No. What I love about talking to you guys is, and I believe you sort of said this, is like you guys are just real people. You're regular
Yes.
human beings that are in love with each other, that have a family. And I think a lot of people that are not exposed to the queer community
Yes.
don't understand that we are just real people
Yeah, I
who
don't
have
think it
real
can
love,
happen.
who go to
Yeah.
work, who go to church, who go grocery shopping, who hang out at home with their kids, like regular human beings that simply just want to feel
I mean,
like
I have
everyone else.
I have a horrible potty mouth. Like I'm being very
Oh,
good
me
on the
too.
show
Me too
because I
today.
can cuss like a sailor. And but people look at me and they're like, "Oh, she's this little church going lady," and she's no, girl, you don't understand. I can get down with the best of them. So the people that don't know you and they think you come from the country, don't think that they'll be accepted or you'll be accepted or you can be accepting. It's all out there. You're just human. It is totally just human to the next person.
Yeah. What's your favorite swear word?
Fucker, motherfucker. I will call you a motherfucker in 2 seconds.
Kim, do you have
I'll
a
say
potty
everything.
mouth?
You purple
No.
milk cow looking.
Oh yeah, me too.
I
So
love it.
yeah, that's just who we are. And my grandkids, my daughter, she's more laid back, and she'll say, the kids, there's 5 grandgirls, okay? We got 5
Wow.
girls. And they come over and I'm cussing and I'll do whatever. And
They are older though, little older.
16, 17, 15. They'll be like, Mom. And I'm like, what? They know their fucking name on cusses? Damn. They're good.
That's not news.
They're good.
They're not sheltered. They're not sheltered.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
so fun. I love it. Well, where can people find you guys on social media? If anybody wants to give
It's
you guys
mainly
a follow.
Facebook.
Okay.
Tammy Boyd Franklin on Facebook, and then TikTok, Marriage Equality 1, Marriage Equality Plaintiffs is all on TikTok and Facebook. I'm trying to learn more of the TikTok, but I'm old. So
It's
I'm
a
trying to get
whole
up with-
it's a whole process. It's
Yeah,
a
you have to
lot.
help me with that.
Yeah,
They'll
you
send
can
me a
let me
link.
know.
I'm like, I can't even get it on my phone to get it on the TikTok. Come on now. So
And I don't really do social media, so call her.
It's all her.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, I am so grateful that you guys took the time, almost an hour, to sit down with me. Honestly, like, highlight of my life. I've done a lot of really cool things, but this is like right up there. I'm grateful for all of your hard work, the work that you did, so that hopefully we do not have to ever go through that again.
yes.
And I'm just so thankful that you took the time to chat with little old me.
We really enjoyed it.
Anytime.
Our doctor's from Canada, and we love her to death. And she's
Oh,
a
good.
lesbian. And she
Even
just,
better.
yeah.
Even better.
So, and we
Yeah.
appreciate you. And and we're glad we met too.
Thank you so much. And like, let's keep in touch. If anything new pops up, new things happen, I would love to talk about it more. But
Okay.
you know, try to remain positive, happy, calm. It's tough,
I'm trying.
but we got this.
Okay.
Kim, you keep Tammy in her emotions in check.
I'll do my best.
I'll make her cry for you.
Perfect. Balance. Well, thank you guys so much. Still got chills. I'm
Happy
actually surprised I
marriage
didn't
equality.
cry. Happy marriage equality. We'll keep it there. Thank you so much.
Bye.